Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to this wonderful garden of Villa La Fonte at European Institute Florence, at Jean-Michel Glachant, as you know. We are welcoming this morning Konstantin Staschus, Secretary General ENTSO-E, the European body for power transmission. Konstantin, very happy to see you in our garden.
Good morning, Jean-Michel. I'm very happy to be here. It's wonderful and to be with you also.
Thank you. And so we just released a very interesting paper, a vision about the good policy for energy union. And if you are okay, we are going to discuss it.
Sure, that would be great.
So the first thing, very, very interesting for me as an academic, is that roughly this paper says energy union is for energy transition, so to get rid of carbon. How will we get rid of carbon? Even in Germany, you are generating power with coal, lignite, my car is using oil. Are we going to get rid of all of this?
Well, the transmission system operators always think in the long term and try to anticipate.
Good.
The carbon dioxide problem, the climate change problem is a very long-term problem for the entire world. And that's how the politicians look at it. It's a slow but determined transition that the European Union wants to make away from carbon on a horizon towards 2050. And this very long-term horizon happens to fit very well with the long-term planning horizon of transmission system operators.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to make changes in the system, but we're making steady changes on the way towards much less carbon.
Okay, so you work more for your grandchildren than for your wife or for you.
I think for the climate change problem, for the climate protection, that's what we're all doing, and that's what we have to do if we want to have wonderful environment like this in the future for our grandchildren.
I like it. So I will be frank with you. I like people working for in long term and to end better the frame we are in. Now, in your paper, you are also saying, well, we have three key priorities. One is to put customer at the center. Another one is to push the internal market. A third one is to have a seamless regulatory frame. Okay, but what's the first priority and what's the third in this set?
The order in which we gave it and in which you just quoted it, that's the right order, we believe. We live in a democracy, in a rather complex democracy, Europe-wide, with 28 member states. Sure. And if the citizen isn't at the core of this very basic transition and of the efforts to protect the climate for our grandchildren, then we won't achieve anything. The citizen has to have his heart and soul in it. And that's why we believe so much that the citizen also got to be at the center of all of our thoughts about the market, about the electricity system, about how to save energy, how to make the grid smart. Citizen got to be at the heart of it.
Okay. And then the market. The market is second or third?
Second.
Why?
That's why we put it second.
But why?
Because that's the basic principle around which Europe organizes its industries, its commerce, whenever it makes sense. You got to be careful where there are natural monopolies which need to be regulated, but wherever that's not the case, let the market work. And in the situation with the enormous uncertainties we got in the energy system, we don't know how cheap solar is going to get. We don't know whether people are really going to have response with their demand to consume more when the wind is blowing and to consume less when there's no wind at night. These are enormous uncertainties. The market is best suited to deal with what's best for everybody in such an environment. That's what the European Union has decided 2 decades ago. We are making good progress towards it. There's still more progress to be made, but we do believe strongly in that principle.
Okay, so if you put the consumer citizen first and the market second, regulation is only third. So regulation is not that important.
If it wasn't important, we wouldn't have put it into our paper. So by definition, it's important. The little half sentence I mentioned before is key here, I think. In many industries, and in our energy industry in particular, you need to be very careful where there are monopoly parts and where there are liberal parts. Just think 25, 30 years ago, we both remember, everybody in the whole world thought that electricity supply as a whole was a monopoly,
Yeah, of
a
course.
natural monopoly. And they all thought they were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And for all I know, at the time, under the conditions then, they really did. Now, many things have changed. Photovoltaics came up, combined cycle power plants came up. Generation is not a natural monopoly anymore. Supply isn't, aggregators aren't. So we've made great progress and much better progress in Europe than anywhere else in the world
That's
in
true.
defining which is which.
Yeah, yeah.
The networks are monopolies, they need to be regulated and they need to be regulated well. Because then if this dividing line between the market and the regulated part is put wrong, that's when trouble appears. And that's why the regulator's function is so crucial. And that's why, since we're building a Europe-wide market, and that's the only thing that makes sense if you have a lot of renewables, the Europe-wide market, you need seamless regulation across national boundaries. We like to think that TSOs think in this direction all along. They know they can only keep the lights on with so many fluctuating renewables if they cooperate very closely across borders. Regulators got to do that too.
Okay, Konstantin, you are quite ambitious. You want to do energy transition. You want to put all citizens on board. You want to get a European market doing it and a European regulatory frame. How long will it take to do this job? Will you finish it yourself within the Juncker Commission 2019, or will it be for 2030, or even, why not, for 2050 to celebrate my first century birthday?
Well, that gets us back to your first question. This really is a very long-term transition where we got to have the goal in mind, but we got to be aware of all the uncertainties that life, technological development, the citizens can throw us. We'll learn more every year in how this transition will really evolve, and we have to be nimble and prepared to take turns to adjust. So the ultimate decarbonization will be many decades in the future, and we probably can't even imagine what the world will look like then and how customers will interact with their suppliers. But bit by bit, we have to move forward, and let's keep in mind that power plants are around for 20, 30, 40 years. Transmission lines are around for 30, 40, 50 years. Distribution lines too. So we got to make the best decisions we can. And that's why we try to anticipate, but anticipate in our 10-year plans, for example, with many different scenarios. And we try to define the best investments now that serve us well under a multitude of different scenarios. And that's how every decision is important, but it's very important to stay nimble and to be able to adjust as we go along. And for that, we need quick enough decision making. That's what we're missing sometimes in this Europe of ours, that the decision making becomes very drawn out, and then you're not very fast following the new developments.
That's true. Ladies, gentlemen, you have seen, we look like grandfathers, we cannot deny it, but we think also to our grandchildren. Are we good? We do not know. We will know that rather in 2030. So if you want, I will celebrate my 80th birthday there with Konstantin, and we will see if we have been so good grandfathers or only average or even less. I let you judge. Thank you, Konstantin.
Thank you very much, Jean-Michel.
Thanks to you, my pleasure.